Slurp-dee-derp-dee-derp, my G's. How are you all doing? Yeah. Hello. Today's going to be another one of those terrible videos that I do where I don't edit anything and I'm just like too tired and can't really be bothered. Let's do some shout outs. That'll be a nice way to start off. I'll try and remember everyone. So let's give some shout outs to Stig Helmer, Philip Sindelar, Koba as well, as always, McKenna Lewis, Sam Ford, James T, Digipax, Mike Briggs, Darotum, Mr. Kill Hobbs, Farosa as well, thanks for also following me on Instagram the other day, Ryan Anderson, enjoyed the acoustic drum video, I think that one got a lot of love, Mike agrees, and Felix H likes the flute intro, should do some more shakuhachi intros. Three Thieves, great point about pitching drums. They have a root but are largely atonal. That's right. Coslo, big ups to you. Kaisun RSA. And again, Ferosa, thanks for all your comments. Coslo again. Chocomalk. Billips, loving the output from you so far this year. Keep it up and keep slurping. I didn't slurp this for this one, sorry. So you can't please everyone, can you? Yeah, great. Koba as well, really liked the acoustic drum video. One of my favourite videos of yours so far, bro. Your experience in teaching is really showing through. Confident, concise, con carne. Awesome content, thanks, bro. Big ups. Yeah, today is not going to be as awesome as that one. Mad respects for actually pushing through your promise for, bro. For me, I like to add variation on the fourth bar, a break or something, adding a little tom roll after that intentional gap instead of the reverse can also be sick. Ghost kicks instead of snares are also sick. Yeah, agree. Also like adding a burst on the first hit with a white noise one shot, side change to the kick transient. That's a cool idea. That's definitely a useful thing to do. Also adding some reverb with a send and some drums and automating that in and out can be mad too. Just random stuff that comes to mind. Big up G. Yep. Really agree with all of that. Anyway, I just noticed as I'm recording this video, I'm probably sounding really tired. Because I am a little bit, but yeah, so I'll stop complaining. Anyway, today I want to do a little case study on a track I released most recently called Pharisees, and I just want to give a few tips about transitions today. So we're going to talk about the little parts between the 16-bar loops, because I always sort of imagine song structure in 16-bar block sections. That's how it's the most important to me. And yeah, how can you get that real transfer from one 16 to the other one to tell a great story throughout your track? That's the key. And something that something that students in my mentorship sessions sometimes struggle with a little bit is getting that real finished sort of storytelling vibe in a song, and a lot of that comes from getting those transitions to be really nice. So I haven't really planned this video out, but I thought I'd pull up a recent track of mine, Pharisees, as I just said, and let's just have a little look at the transitions and see if I can pick out some little tips as we go along here. Yeah, so here's the first one, and this is a tip that always really helps me a lot, is to like start fading things out as you go into the next 16. So here for this intro, we've got like this lead and also the drums and also like a sort of also kind of like pad as well, but all of these three kind of elements, they all sort of fade out. They fade out in volume, and also they sort of tail out into having more reverb on them, so they get more spacey in the lead up to the transition. So that's really part of the transition, and that's one thing that always works well, is like taking a bunch of those main elements, dousing them with reverb as you come towards the end of 116 before you go over into the next one. Yeah? Yeah, so one of the things that helps this transition really work is having that one sound that ties it over, sort of blends it over. And in this case, it's the sitar, but it could be anything really. But if you just listen to this, how it sort of continues over the transition here. So that last note is really extended out, and you'll notice that it loses a bit of low end as well, so that the new elements have a bit more space in the mid-range. But yes, this idea of having one of your sounds to blend over from the first 16 into the next one, to give it a smooth transition and to sort of distract you from the fact that a lot of the other things have changed. Yeah, so a lot of the sounds in the first 16, they come to an end and stop, but because of this sort of sitar note that is held out and continues over across into the next 16, because of that, you don't notice as much of all the abruptness of the certain sounds that have stopped and the abruptness of the certain new sounds that have started. So it's like a sort of distraction sound, essentially. Okay. So another thing to note here, and I know we're just still on the first 16 bar loop here, but we don't have to talk about every single transition. I just want to do a quick little tip, a couple of tips today. But another important tip here is on that downbeat to have a discernible kind of impact point, so you really know it's the new 16. Sometimes you could do like a fake silence instead or something like that, but often the case is it's good to have a little impact so you know it's the downbeat. And here I've got a kick in there to really let you know. But it's a very, very low in volume kind of soft kick in the background. So what I've got here when I open up the drum group to sort of see is there's just a break that I've used in this intro part, and that's what's got a kick on it. But it's been low passed a lot, so you really only get the low end of the kick. But that little part of the break that has the kick, if that wasn't there, it wouldn't really sound like, you wouldn't really be able to really hear that impact of the downbeat. So it doesn't have to be like obviously from a break. You can use any kick. Good thing to do is always just pick your main kick that you normally use and just make a different version of it that's like softer, low in volume, bit of reverb, really low passed. And then if you just place that like a little bit in the background, exactly on the downbeat, it will help give you that transition, like that little bit of impact that it might need for the start of the next 16, you know? Okay, so it really helps to have those little impact points directly on the beat sometimes. And as you kind of hear, what's coming in next is a fantastic thing to do that I really do a lot, and that's to introduce some of the main lead layers before they hit on the drop, you know? It doesn't have to be in the build up and the drop section. You can do this technique across any transition of your track. Same applies to all of the tips I've given you. They are transitional tips that will work in any section. It's up to you how and when to use them. But here, for example, what I really like is having the filtered in kind of lead coming in here. So the filtered lead I'm referring to is this respace, essentially. So it's just creeping in the background, and then when you get to the drop, it's obviously in full power. Okay, and there's also some other sections of the sound. For example, I've got these, what I've called these energy orbs. So these are like a really nice sort of synth chord. Okay, and you will hear them a bit in the intro as well here. So it's sort of playing a slightly different chord, but it's the same sound, but it's in the background. And again, that's just helping with the transition between these two sections, is using... you guys know this tip. It's very often, I've explained this loads of times, but yeah, using like one of the main leads and then just having it somewhere in the background in the build up. And like I said before, that's something you can always do like later on, another section. For example, you're going into another 16 and you're going to bring in a new kind of lead sound, like that's going to come in just only for your second 16, you know, why not have it coming in, creeping in a little bit in the background just before to help with the transition? That's the same kind of concept. So just taking what's going to come next as the main sound and giving us a little bit of it in the background before that happens. So another thing I've also done in this track as a little extra bonus, last little transitional tip, is I've taken one of the bass sounds here, the sort of main one that you hear a lot in this track, which sounds like this, and I've just applied some weird processing on it and pitched it up to give this sound here. And this is used as, again, like a little takeaway sound before the transition here, so it will happen just before we kind of switch over. And then continues on from there. But that was just one little extra bonus tip. But the previous ones I mentioned are very, very universal, and I use them on most of my tracks to help blend over the transitions. And there's probably a lot of other little tips I could go into today, but I just wanted to keep this short. And feel free to leave a little comment down below what other kind of ideas you have for doing little smoother transitions. But the idea is that you can be, really what I wanted to point out in this video is that you can pay a lot of attention to the transitions and make them very, very, very detailed actually. And that'll help you to really stand out in your productions, because just as important as it is to write a really good drum group, write a really good bass hook, a good lead melody, and do a good mix down, it's just as important to make interesting transitions. So not just any old little like simple transition. I mean, that they can work and they can be good, but if you can put extra care and detail into making them sound really really different, like having these new little creative sound effects that pop out and then cut off again, and then a lot of elements so that sort of just stop and other elements start, but sometimes you blend in something else in the background to smooth it over. Sometimes you blend in the previous elements down before this all happens. Sometimes you're bringing in some of the new elements in a different version to sort of filter up in the background before. These are all different ways that you can play the transitional game, and there's no right or wrong way to do it, but those are some of the techniques, and you can pick and choose what kind of little thing you want to do for each transition. But there's loads of little creative things you can do. The important thing is that you just pay attention to that and put some time and detail and care into them, because it's going to really give you a track that that feeling that it's never going to get boring, you know, because all the transitions keep you hooked at the last minute when you think it's going to repeat or be the same again. You know, you're going to switch things up always, you know. So that's why it's really important to focus on to get a really interesting tune going. By the way, guys, I don't know if you saw on the community post tab, but I've got a new drum and bass live show DJ full video set up on YouTube. It's not on my channel though, it's on the Kabelbreuk channel. The guys who did the banner behind me, that's from the event where they filmed it, and it's an hour-long drum and bass set there, and you can watch me dancing around looking like an idiot. If you want to see that, then the link is going to be above. And tomorrow I will be a bit more well rested, and I'll be able to make a bit of a better video for you guys again. And we're going to do something a little bit different tomorrow. Tomorrow I'm going to come away from the arrangement and compositional stuff for a little bit and do another Vital bass arpeggiator. I'm going to make a sick bass arp in Vital tomorrow. So I'll see you guys then.